The theory for my presentation that I chose to use is cognitive behavioral therapy. The reason why I chose this was because the population I work with is Native American adolescent youth, and a lot of times, due to like tradition and even the way they were brought up, they don't realize that the choices they've made will come about with the consequences that they're now serving. Their belief system and everything from home is usually skewed because of the people they live with and their community. So that's why I chose cognitive behavioral therapy. First of all, what is cognitive behavioral therapy? The definition, according to McLeod, is based on the idea of how we think or our cognition, how we feel, which is our emotions, and how we act, which is our behavior, all interact together, specifically with our thoughts that determine our feelings and our behavior. I see this a lot with adolescents. They are impulsive, I guess is the word, and they act before they think a lot. And with the adolescent brain, it's still growing and becoming who or what they are. So if we can look at cognition now instead of later, and maybe teach them that maybe the actions or the behaviors that they not really cause, but that they do will also impact the consequences either negatively or positively, and hopefully change or not really change, but I guess come up with new ideas and challenge the way they think of things. One of the things with cognitive behavioral therapy that is put out there, that negative and unrealistic thoughts can also cause us distress. And that is what leads to having problems in the way we react. When a person suffers psychological distress in a way, they interrupt the situations and become skewed, which causes them to behave in negative consequences in the actions they choose to take. A lot of times, like I said before, with impulsive behavior with adolescents, they think on the run. Basically, they're with friends and they don't think twice about going and stealing a car or using with their friends because they believe, that they're invincible. They're young. Nothing's going to happen to them. They don't think about the consequences before they do. And to face those faulty beliefs, it is critical that we teach the kids about, or anybody for that matter, that the environment and everything is a big factor in the way that causes these different beliefs. And it's also good to talk to the parents and their families about this, because a lot of times faulty beliefs, they come in, especially our teenagers, they come in a lot with different faulty beliefs, and they believe downright it's true. I study better when I use. I can drive fine when I'm drunk. God made weed. And for them, they don't look at, oh, I'm failing school now, or I just got on probation, or I got pulled over. At first, they don't see those as consequences until they're actually locked up in detention or, in treatment with us. And for some reason, because of those beliefs, they're mad at the people who arrested them or got them in trouble instead of taking responsibility for their own actions. What cognitive behavioral therapy does is helps people become more aware of their consequences because of their behaviors. And when confronting their behaviors, we sometimes can show them how their thinking and stuff is distorted. How they see things now may not be how they really are. And hopefully with cognitive behavioral therapy, combining how you think of things, how you react to things, it gives us an opportunity to help them show alternative ways of thinking and behaving so that you can reduce the psychological distress and those consequences. Because once you show them, hey, see, this action led to you being here, and what sort of things were happening good for you in the past that can help you with what was working for you, and maybe go back to those things. Because I know a lot of especially our kids, they quit sports or other things that they once enjoyed doing. So where did CBT come from? Cognitive behavioral therapy is in fact an umbrella term for many different therapies. Some of those, the earliest forms of behavioral therapy was irrational emotive behavioral therapy, which was developed by Albert Ellis, and cognitive therapy, which was developed by Aaron Beck. One of the things we do teach at our program is the ABC model, which was from Albert Ellis, which is the activating event. What happened? What was the actual event that caused you to act out, that caused the behavior? What was that behavior? B is the belief, which is, what did you believe would happen? What are your beliefs about, that action you took? And how those actions and the activating event comes with consequences. Consequences can either be negative or positive depending on what that actual event was and the action that you took, and maybe the beliefs that you thought might happen. Because if we can change what they may believe or those actions into positive ones, then hopefully we can cut down on the negative consequences and show them that there is also positive. And this just kind of goes through the different forms. You have a negative event, a rational belief, which is like thinking right or not thinking in a, not how to put this, not thinking really in a negative way, but believing that, hey, I shouldn't have done that, and maybe I can change that next time, which leads to a healthy negative emotion. Or the opposite end, which we try to tell our kids, is the negative event happens, you blow up, you have this irrational belief that, hey, I shouldn't have been blamed for that, and then from that comes an unhealthy negative emotion, which can come out as anger or, just acting in a way that you probably normally wouldn't if you had to stop to think about the consequences to those behaviors. With Albert Ellis, the activating event, which would be that leads to a high emotional response. Being human, we all can have high emotional response or negative dysfunctional thinking. But in the second column, it talks about the client writes down, well, this is some of the things you can do, with your client. Record a situation. What event all leads to high emotions? What for them can lead to maybe distress or anger or sadness? And in the next column, write down what the client thought about what happened to them. What negative thoughts came to mind. And then in the third column, you can sit down with your client and write, hey, what were the negative feelings and behaviors that ensued after that? What negative thoughts of a second column seem to be connecting the bridge between the situation and the distress of feelings? Then you can go through and what caused by the action. Could it be anger, sorrow, anxiety, etc.? So you can sit down and think or go through with your client what may have happened and what can we do next time. Because if we can realize, like anger, is a second emotion to things that you're feeling, and if we can get that to the kids, that were you really fearful, were you sad, what caused that anger in the first place or to act out. And here is if I can go back, here is a demonstration of the ABC model. if you can get this to load.